Hello. Today I'm doing it a little differently, okay? Because today on TalkShop, I'm going to repeat the KSM show. And this is when Honorable Ablakwa was my guest. And he talked plenty. When he was in opposition, he talked plenty about oral and the findings and everything. And this is why I say we should not allow oral to collapse, no matter what. So I just wanted to replay what Honorable Ablakwa said about oral when he was in the opposition. So I want you to keep quiet, take a listen to this, and after that, I'll be back. Check this out. We're back, and I'm hanging out with Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, and we're getting into things, and Honorable, just before we left here, I started talking about the pit, What triggered this whole investigation? Because it was not just the pit. You were talking about Reverend Kusi having had more than one identity and all. Yeah. What triggered all of this before we get into other aspects that I want you to talk about today?
So, observing from Parliament, I noticed that a lot of things the President had told the nation, all those statements, those pledges, those commitments he made, were not adding up. Remember, the President started by saying that he has had an encounter with his God. We don't know which God is that. And that he's promised that God that when he wins, he will build a cathedral as a thanksgiving offering.
I made a pledge to Almighty God that if he was gracious enough to grant my party, the New Patriotic Party and I, victory in the 2016 election, after 2 unsuccessful attempts, I would help build a cathedral to his glory and honor.
So it is a personal pledge. And he assured the nation that he was not going to use public funds. So we all said, okay, well, we all are Christians, we go to church, we all make personal pledges. I recall in my last election, I set a target. I told God, if you help me achieve that target. And I got the widest margin in the whole country. So immediately, the pledge was that I'll go to the Children's Hospital, the Bator Hospital, and then pay the bills of all those on admission. I did that. I didn't call a DEBA that everybody should contribute. So personal pledges, we all do that, and we redeem it at the personal level. Then I discovered that, we are being deceived. I begin intercepting documents that even though the President says personal pledge, we are not going to use public funds, we won't use the taxpayers' money. I discover that 50 million cedis, then another 142 million cedis, then a 23 million cedis. Then you come to David Ajayi, he was also receiving all kinds of payments from the national coffers. Meanwhile, Article 178 of the Ghanaian Constitution is very clear that when it comes to public funds, you need parliamentary approval. It's very clear. Article 178, let me read. It says, no monies shall be withdrawn from the consolidated fund except A, to meet expenditure that is charged on that fund by the Constitution or by an act of Parliament, or where the issue of those monies has been authorized. 1, by an appropriation act, which is passed by Parliament, or 2, by a supplementary estimate approved by resolution of Parliament, passed for this purpose. So in Ghana, nobody has the authority, the power, to withdraw funds, public money, without parliamentary approval. So when you go through all our budgets for President Akufo-Addo's era, and the budgets are online, viewers can go to the Ministry of Finance website, you would not see any provision in the budget which has come to Parliament for approval for National Cathedral. Because the President had told us that it's a personal pledge. You won't see every single expenditure, say free SHS, you see it there, free SHS, this is how much we intend to spend. We are building this number of hospitals, Agenda 111, this is the amount. We want to do roads. You see, that's what budgets are for. That's why Parliament exists. And under Article 178, you need that parliamentary approval before you withdraw funds. So I said,
So when you say you intercepted, what you came across this?
Yes, so I secured documents signed by Ken Oforiatta, the finance minister, instructing the Controller Accountant General to release money to the National Cathedral Secretariat, where you have Dr. Paul Opoku Mensah as the executive secretary, and to release money to Rebade. Rebade are the contractors, a consortium of 3 companies, Rizani, De Eka, Babisoti, and Disimoni. So I saw releases to them. Then I also saw releases to David Ajay, the architect, who engages in a lot of, inflationary pricing. So I said, this country has been scammed. The clergy. And I recall listening to sermons from people like Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams say that, Ghanaians who are criticizing National Cathedral, stop it. We are not using your money. The president has assured us. At our first board meeting, the president told us, we are not using public funds. So all of you, just shut up. We are just mobilizing our own resources. So even the clergy didn't know that on their blind side, people are being paid, huge withdrawals are going on. Now we know that a whopping 339 million Ghana cedis. Because after intercepting the documents, securing them, we then summoned the finance minister at the vote of censure hearings. And we insisted that you must now give us the full withdrawals that you have made. And all hell broke loose. To our shock, 339, at the time, $58.1 million. No parliamentary approval. That is why, as for this National Cathedral matter, we know that some people are going to go to jail. Because it's very clear. Very clear. When the finance minister, the former finance minister, Ken Oforiatta, appeared before us, he sought to say that, we are using contingency vote. And as for contingency, we don't really have to come to parliament. Now, contingency stands for emergency. Something unplanned, a happenstance, unforeseen circumstance. National Cathedral, that you have had, you say you had a conversation with your God. You have planned. You set up board of trustees. You announced to the whole country, this is what we are going to do. How can that be contingent, something you didn't foresee? So this is just, you see, when you even catch them, what really annoys me about these folks in the MPP is that when you even catch them naked, pants down, they try to come up with all kinds of ridiculous explanations and excuses. So now, here we are, 339 million cedis. Remember that Kolebu Renal Unit, they needed only 2 million to save lives. 19 people died. 339 million without parliamentary approval. Think about what that money can do. Now, guess what? We decided to go into the breakdown of the 339 million. I took it upon myself to investigate every single item. That is when a whole new can of worm was opened. So I discovered that a gentleman called Carrie Summers was given $6 million to raise funds for Ghana. He has not been able to raise any money. Now, what happens in the industry of fundraising, and you know very well, is that when you raise the funds, then you are giving a commission.
Yeah.
It is only in Ghana, under the Akufo-Addo administration, that
So
they
you
gave
paid upfront to raise money?
$6 million. I tracked him all the way to the United States of America. I went undercover and appeared in Springfield, Missouri, where and all the claims he had made, the documents they brought to Parliament that, this is a top fundraiser who, has, the Nehemiah group and all of that, the pictures they brought us. When I went there, it was all a scam. He was in some ramshackle warehouse selling coffee. Scammer. And yet they gave him $6 million. Then I also discovered that another payment of 2.6 million Ghana cedis to a company called JNS Talent Center Limited. I said, I know all the companies associated with this project. David Ajay and Associates, the architects, Rebade, the contractors. Who is JNS? Let me look into it. Holy Moses. I discovered that Oh, so Reverend Victor Kusi Boateng, secretary to the board of trustees, he has a second identity as Kwabena Edu Jemfi, and he's a director at JNS. So virtually paying himself. That is what, so you hear people say, oh, but Okudzeto Ablakwa, what does he have with this pastor? What is it, something personal? It's not a personal. I was only carrying out parliamentary oversight, doing my constitutional work. I wanted to know the 339 million. Why is it that we have spent so much money and all we see is a hole, a pit? So clearly, the money didn't go into construction. A diligent member of parliament must find out. So where did the money go? That is what took me on this search, this voyage for truth, for accountability. So I discovered Kari Summers, $6 million. Then I discovered Victor Kusi Boateng, who is paying himself Kwabena Edu Jemfi, 2.6 million. And he opened a whole can of worms. Then I discovered that, oh, so he was not expecting this day to come where we will know that even though he was appointed as Reverend Victor Kusi Boateng, he has a second identity. Don't be deceived, it's not a nickname. For that identity, he has a different date of birth, 2 years apart. When he's operating as Victor Kusi Boateng, he has a different mother. He has a different date of birth. He says he was born 7 September 1971. He has a whole set of companies registered under that identity. When he's operating as Kwabena Edu Jemfi, he has another mother, different mother. The only person I know in the world to be born by 2 different mothers. He has a different date of birth, this time 30th December 1969, not 7 September 1971. 2 years apart. I can speak to these matters boldly because he took me to court and he has lost, not once, not twice. Indeed, the Human Rights Court has declared his conduct criminal, that he shouldn't be working freely. So these are matters that have been determined. The judiciary of our country, they have looked at the evidence that I gathered, and they have ruled in my favor that what I put out was not malicious, it's the truth. Will you believe that he managed to even obtain a diplomatic passport in another identity, Kwabena Edu Jemfi? I summoned the Foreign Affairs Minister to Parliament, and she confirmed it, that yes, at the time they issued the passport, they didn't know that he is Victor Kusi Boateng. Meanwhile, this is a country that has spent billions on national ID. Even at the NIA, the Ghana card he has is Kwabena Edu Jemfi. You go to DVLA, he has a driver's license, Victor Kusi Boateng. As SNIT, he is Victor Kusi Boateng. Within the Electoral Commission database, he has 2 cards as Victor Kusi Boateng and Kwabena Edu Jemfi. Only God knows if he votes twice or not. Incredible. And these are people supposed to be building a holy temple for God. That is why I am not surprised that Pastor Otabil had to resign, Bishop Dake Ward-Mills had to resign, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams had to resign, Reverend Isud Adaba had to resign. And if you read their resignation letters, very damning. Bishop Dake Ward-Mills said that, look, I have built great churches, magnificent churches for far less. I cannot understand why $58 million and all we see is a pit. It's in Bishop Dak's resignation letter. And Bishop Dak can say that. We have seen all his mighty buildings all over. Go to the mountains. Mampong. Yeah. Hey! I mean, what that man of God built, I mean, incredible. Beautiful edifices, imposing.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. So if this man of God tells you that, now $58 million, and all we see is a pit, no, I will not allow you to soil my reputation. I'm leaving. Then I decided to do an RTI request, a right to information request, to the Public Procurement Authority. Under Ghanaian law, when you are going to use public funds for procurement, goods and services, you must go through the procurement process. The PPA must know about it. Will you believe PPA responded and said, hey, Honorable, we beg you, don't drag us into this. We don't know about this.
We don't have to be.
We don't have no idea. We don't. Can you believe that? Lawlessness. So that is how come 58.1 million, and this 58.1 million is only taxes. So recently I asked the tourism minister in Parliament, to give us a breakdown of other donations that came in. Over $3 million. And yet, that's what we see, a pit. Now, you know what even irks me the most? It's not only the money we have lost, but the properties that have been destroyed. If you read Bishop Dark's resignation letter, he said at their first board meeting, President Akufo-Addo told them that as for location and architect, they should stay away from those matters. He has an architect already. And then he has his location. He has decided where it must be. And everything in the way must be removed for his cathedral to be put up where he has decided. A country that has so much space, free space. And for many decades, we've been talking about decongesting the central business district. Look, when there's a program at international conference, even where to park, when there's a program at State House, then you come to add to that melee. And in the process, look at the demolitions. I'll give you the list. Scholarship Secretariat, demolished. Passport Head Office, demolished. Judges' bungalows, newly built judges' bungalows, demolished. In the process, an appeal court judge resigned. He said, look, why? He even asked for a few days. His wife, Justice Said, who had been awarded by the Ghana Bar Association as the most incorruptible judge a few months earlier. He said, look, my wife has just come out of surgery. Give me some time. He said, no, hey, God says he must come and live in Accra under Akufo-Addo's authority. So leave. He resigned out of protest. And Ghana lost such an upright judge in the process. The Judicial Training Institute, where we've been training, doing capacity building for judges of the Commonwealth, demolished. Bungalows belonging to Shraj were demolished. As I speak to you now, Shraj is having to spend money to rent for its deputy commissioners because those bungalows were demolished. Look at the financial loss. The judges, they had to go and rent buildings for them. Look at the financial loss. And I'm not done with the list. The Malian ambassador's residence was demolished. Can you believe that? Even diplomatic enclaves were not spared. Then you have private persons. Comsys IT firm, their headquarters was demolished. The Waterstone Realty apartment complex, also demolished. They are in court demanding compensation of $5 million. So by the time you add the costs of compensating all of these people whose properties have been demolished, recently the Malians informed me that they have showed them some land at Airport Residential, and you know the cost of land at Airport Residential. Should all of these things have come about? A country that has an infrastructure deficit. That is why at the NDC manifesto launch, I submitted forcefully that the two parties are not the same. This thing that people, this refrain all over the place, oh, Yanja or Munyana are the same, they are the same. We are not the same. This has never happened. I dare say that even under previous MPP leaders, this could never have happened. I can't believe how any Ghanaian leader would do this. This recklessness, this impunity. I mean, of all the land, even if you think the National Cathedral is a priority. And you see, we have been asking in Parliament, let's even see the project justification, the feasibility that you did. This business that suddenly Christians will stop going to Israel, where Jesus walked, and will rather come to Accra. So the traffic will change.
Yeah. There's
And
actually
then-
going to be a restaurant that will
Yes,
feature
yes.
foods from the Old Testament or something like that.
And I'm glad you talk about this restaurant. You will be shocked to hear. After David Ajayi had been paid 32 million cedis, then somebody discovered, I hear it was this same Karisames guy, who said that, oh, after looking at the design, there's no restaurant attached. So attach a restaurant. Do you know how much Ghana paid David Ajayi for designing the restaurant? $5.8 million. Can you believe that? $5.8 million. $5.8 million. That is what Ghana paid. I'm not making this up. I'm always going all over the place with my documents. This is signed by Ken Oforiatta. 6 July 2021. Re. Submission of invoice for payment, National Cathedral of Ghana. Please refer to your letter number SCRDE3296/02 dated 27 April 2021, requesting the release of $5,817,769 US 65 cents to pay consultancy fees in respect of the variation orders for the inclusion of a 300-seater restaurant. $5.8 million. The actual restaurant, the building, how much will it cost? The actual building, how much will it cost? Design, PEO, you have been paid over 32 million already. And then they say that, oh, this is your design that you've done. There's no restaurant. We want to serve manna from Israel and all of that. I mean, you wonder what was going on. And then we pay $5.8 million for that. And look, David Ajayi, I will not take away his international credentials, his reputation, all of that. But I would have thought that after all these decades, what he has done in the UK, America, elsewhere, he will have even said, oh, this project I'm giving back, let me give something back to my homeland, to the motherland. And David Ajayi, since President Akufo-Addo became president, and it has never happened in our history, the architects of Ghana, all of them came together and put out a statement that since President Akufo-Addo became president, this is friendship with David Ajayi. They don't get contracts any longer.
The
They put out a statement. Viewers can go online, it's there. That they give everything to David Ajayi. And I can list them. National Cathedral, David Ajayi. Marine Drive Project, David Ajayi. Agenda 111, David Ajayi. Trade Fair Redevelopment, David Ajayi. Parliamentary Chamber, David Ajayi. Du Bois Center, David Ajayi. Everything. Everything. Architects had to come together and protest. It's never happened in our country. So when we talk about state capture, where the president and his cronies have hijacked everything, the business community is suffocating. Bank of Ghana headquarters, David Ajayi. And there is something so unique about all those projects. Inflationary pricing. Bank of Ghana headquarters started at $81 million. That's what the board approved. I intercepted documents that revealed that it has ballooned to $222 million. Can you believe that? From $81 million. Meanwhile, this is a Bank of Ghana that is bankrupt, that is insolvent, that is making huge losses. And this is their priority. This is what they are doing. Yankoti justification, I almost say they are in an earthquake zone, and if they don't move and build a new office, can you believe that? Meanwhile, at that same location, we have the AMA office, we have Methodist Church, we have all of these other banks, Barclays Bank. They can all die, they can all perish. If suddenly we discover that there's an area which is an earthquake, shouldn't we be concerned as leaders for all citizens, for everybody there? Cock and bull stories. Total balderdash. Absolute hogwash. They have no regard for us, no respect for our intelligence. And that is why I boil up when I see these things. I am also happy that our manifesto is talking about dealing ruthlessly with state capture. Another matter that I have been pursuing consistently. I mean, why is it that in this country, Article 257 of our Constitution says that public lands are vested in the president. President, Shesumayeng, Unaoye Ebusia paying. So look over this asset for us. Then we hear that you are selling them to your appointees, to your cronies. I mean, how is that? It is not advertised. There is no transparency. And they are just selling on a daily basis. Look, I have a list here. And this is just the cantonments area, the La Wireless, where you have the AU village. The president, who under Article 257, should be protecting these lands on our behalf. On the 31st of August 2022, the president sold portions of the land to K. Jemfua, MPP Women's Organizer. 30th November 2020, sold portions to Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, then Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture. On 31st August 2022, the president sold portions to Dr. Ernest Yedu Addison, governor of the Bank of Ghana, and all his deputies. Elsie Ado Awaji, 27th August 2020, she went for her share. Maxwell Poku Afare, 31st August 2020.
Where do you get all this
2022.
information?
I
Where do you-
intercepted documents. I intercepted them. I put this out. They can't challenge it. It's unimpeachable, irrefutable, impeccable, totally unquestionable. I mean, these are facts. That's why I'm giving you the dates and the location. Joseph Boahin Edu, the CEO of Cocoa Board, he also went for his share from the president, 30th October 2020. Dr. Janet Ampedu Fofie, chairperson of the Presidential Emoluments Committee, another appointee of the president, purchased his from the president, 29th June 2022. Kwabna Mante Jekte Nyako, board member, Ghana Airport Company Limited, 22nd October 2022. His Excellency Ansam Rasford Ajete Sowa, Ghana's High Commissioner to Canada, 14th October 2020. Anna Asari Odro, former MPP Women's Organizer, Holland Chapter, 25th February 2021. Ken Oforiates Enterprise Assurance, 15th December 2023. You know, Ken will not miss out on the opportunity. You know, he doesn't miss out. You know, Kwesi Etua, the president's appointed board chair of SIC, 14th October 2020. Georgina Wood, 15th October 2020. I mean, what's going on? That is why in the NDC manifesto, we are saying that we are going to ban, we'll have a legislation that bans and prohibits. And I'm excited because, you know, I have been sponsoring a private members bill to ban politically exposed persons or politicians from purchasing state assets. I'm so excited that the NDC manifesto deals with that heads on. And only the NDC manifesto does that. The MPP manifesto is silent. Recently, I heard the MPP candidate say that he will also welcome this legislation and he thinks that it has to be done. At least they are beginning to acknowledge that this mess cannot continue. I mean, government officials die and in their will, you see our forests in it, will to their nephews, Wafa Diamame, forever. You see Ramsar sites in their will. So we are saying that all of these things must stop. We cannot have a situation where state assets which belong to all of us, and look at the list. They don't advertise. You don't hear that they are selling. I'm sure if you heard it, maybe you would at least even go and ask the price. And then when you look at the price, I have the deeds here. How much they paid for this. And KSM, you will be shocked. Will you believe that such prime land, cantonments, they asked them to come for it at 183,752 Ghana cedis.
Cantonments.
Cantonments, can you believe that? Cantonments. Meanwhile, I asked agents, real estate dealers, current going rate. They say if you are lucky today, you get a plot $600,000 to $700,000. That's over 8 million Ghana cedis. If you are lucky, average is 1 million, 1.2, 1.5 million dollars. Dollars, not cedis. And see what they were paying, 183,000. This is don't call me sales. I mean, why should we do that? Meanwhile, this president, he himself told us that the reason why he missed all his Agenda 111 deadlines. During COVID, you remember one of his addresses to the nation, he said, oh, he's noticed that, look, I should have been building hospitals long ago. Clearly, he was now seeing why President Mahama, his predecessor, was investing in hospitals. So he said that within a year, he's going to build 111 hospitals. Then he came back 2-3 years after that, forgive me, I couldn't find land. Land is scarce. So you know that land is a challenge now. There are few lands, state lands under your watch. You are just selling it to your people under such opaque circumstances. And I've been asking our colleagues, the current breed of politicians, why is it that as for our generation, we only came to sell? President Nkrumah, our Nkrumah, the founder of Ghana, purchased a lot of these lands. Do you know that these lands they are selling? It's been state land since, if you look at this record, since 31st December 1947. So lands were procured and ring-fenced as land banks for future development. Nkrumah knew the population will grow. We will need more hospitals. We will need more factories. We will need more schools, more universities. We shouldn't have a challenge where now that we have some resources, we want to build a university, we want to build a hospital, or build a factory, then we say we can't find land. So when are we, our generation, also going to buy land banks, preserve them for future development? Very soon, we'll be a population of 50 million. We'll be heading to 60 million, 70 million. We will need more hospitals. We will need bungalows for our doctors and nurses to be close to the hospitals. You have a situation now where some hospitals, when you go, emergency, the doctor is now coming from. Those days, if you look at our colonial history, first years after independence, when they are building hospital,
The doctors.
the nurses, they put up bungalows for them to live close by, even schools close by, so that you can really perform your duties, you can be on call for emergencies. So what is happening? What is happening? And they're just selling everything like there's no tomorrow. Hotels, forests.
Yeah. Honorable, in the interest of time, you have said a lot. How is this going to be reversed? Is there a plan that this thing should stop at some point and that there's going to be a reversal to do the right thing if the NDC should come?
Absolutely, absolutely. That is why in our manifesto, apart from legislating against these practices, we have also announced a major policy we are calling ORAL, Operation Retrieve All Loot.
Operation
Retrieve All Loot, ORAL. All of these sweetheart deals, underhand deals, these shenanigans, without due process, they were not advertised. They have not paid the market value. There is no value for money. People should prepare to return them. We have served notice. And former president has said there will be an inquiry. We will go into all of these transactions. And people forget. It happened in our recent history. Professor Mills did it. Where you have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, it had been sold to cabinet ministers under Kufuor. Professor Mills said, look, looking at how much you people paid and all of that, please, no. We need that land. Our foreign ministry is bent. There was a fire outbreak. That is a great place to have a foreign ministry. So please come back for your monies. And the lands were retrieved. So it has happened before. And it is going to happen again. We can't continue this way. We cannot. We cannot.
Of course, folks, you heard it. And Ghanaians are asking, with all this evidence, what has happened? Yemfili. And I'm saying this, that we, the people, should never allow this aura to collapse. Whatever it takes, we should make sure that those who are going to face persecution face it. Then we can know for real that we are beginning a resetting process. And folks, like I always say, no matter what, this country will rise again.